Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to VCTV, Venture Capital TV from LATOKEN. This is the start of the week, a Monday episode of VCTV. Still, I'm very excited. I'm sure all the speakers are excited as well. Today, we have regular speakers and one new speaker as well. I'm very excited to start my week with all of you. So today's topic is also very interesting. We have many subtopics inside the big topic, healthcare, right? So we're going to cover clinical trials, diagnostics, biometrics, pharmaceutical, and whatnot. So we have speakers who are experts in the area, and they have either invested or they own a company. So that's the beauty about it. So before I open up my panel, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN based here in Singapore. I host VCTV Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. every day without any failure, just so that you know. So I cover different speakers throughout the week on different topics. We would like to touch upon all those latest topics and trends that obviously has impacted us in 2020. Few more days, we're finishing out 2020. So we would like to discuss here on this panel today about the trends, what happened in 2020 in terms of investments, startups, how did they cope in the space, investors, what are they looking to invest in the space? So we're going to talk all about these in our Monday episode of VCTV. Fantastic. I'm going to start with a very new speaker who just made a debut on VCTV Asia. He's spoken on other panels in the US, but not on my panel. So Raghu, welcome to VCTV Asia. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the panel and look forward to being part of the VCTV Asia. So.
Fantastic. So Raghu, how was your weekend? Let's just start with that icebreaker.
Oh, great weather here. Yesterday was in the high 50s. I went on a little hike. New Jersey doesn't have too many hiking areas, but I actually got in a 2-hour hike yesterday. Hopefully, we have some more of these kind of weekends. So.
Fantastic. I love to hike. So please help introduce yourself for our audience and other speakers, your company and yourself. Thank you so much.
Sure. I'm Raghu Rao from Princeton, New Jersey. I run a consulting company called Harvesting Enterprises, which helps companies go from seed to harvest, whatever stage they need. We have planning, strategic planning, execution, and helping with the exit, the whole cycle. And as well, I focus on cybersecurity, biotech, green tech, and clean tech primarily. And most recently, I'm working on an exciting diagnostic platform, which is just getting FDA authorization, and they are ending up in the top of the heap in terms of quickness of response and accuracy for COVID-19. So.
Fantastic, and that's the beauty about the panel. I would like to know more about that diagnostic company that you have invested. And welcome to VCTV Asia. Thank you. Next, I would like to go for Fabio. Fabio, welcome back. How are you today? I hope you had a good weekend as well. Like Raghu did some hiking.
Not as exciting as Raghu. The weekend was partly, sunny, but not greatly. So it's cold, rainy, and therefore not particularly exciting.
Right.
This being said, I took my kids to the park, so they had a good chance. And on Friday night, I take my 2 girls synchronized swimming class. They do for competition, so they're very serious about it.
Great, Fabio. So it's basically a family sort of weekend, which is good.
Yeah, family weekend. You want me to go to start a little presentation of for those who don't haven't seen me before on this?
Raghu just joined us.
Okay, I am. No, I mean, for those who don't know me, I'm an economist by training. I have a PhD from the University of Chicago, And throughout my career, I worked first in international institutions. For example, the International Monetary Fund at the very beginning of my career. Then I moved to the European Central Bank for the launch of the euro. Then I took the plunge and I moved to the private sector in Goldman Sachs and London. Then I went to work for sovereign wealth funds and sovereign institutions in the Arabian Peninsula, first in Qatar, then in Dubai, and my last stint there was as Chief Strategy Officer and Chief Economist of the Oman Investment Fund. Since last year, I took a share of a boutique investment bank based in New York, Dubai, and Hong Kong, and we help innovative startups to list on the over-the-counter market in New York or other markets, other regulated markets around the world.
Thank you, Bob. You're always
That's
like talking to you. Sort of banker, turned private investor and economist, whatnot. Thank you so much, and welcome back on VCTV. Next,
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, same here, Fabio. Last but not least, Gary. Gary, how are you, and how was your weekend?
I'm good. Yeah, my weekend was good. I like to rebuild cars. So I have a couple of sports cars and I like to, I bought a Honda Element and I rebuilt the Honda Element. And so I took that to the beach. Here it's about 80 degrees, so it's warm. 300 days a year it's sunny in Palm Beach. So I was at the beach riding bikes this weekend with my wife and having a good time. So it's just perfect. And it can't be better, actually. It's with all these dark times with the COVID, I mean, there was a lot of sun and people were smiling. So it was really great.
Fantastic. That's what we like to hear about from our speakers. We all had a great time over the weekend. That's the time to time out, to be honest, and we start fresh. Fantastic. We all set with introductions. Our next speaker is going to join, Anuj is going to join us shortly after this. Okay, great. So let's just start with the topic. I'm going to start with Raghu because obviously he's going to speak about diagnostics. Let's talk about trends, Raghu. I mean, you could just give a general perspective about the topic and the subtopics, and then we can go deep dive into diagnostics. Over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, as you all know, diagnostics was kind of, infectious disease in general was a poor cousin until like the pandemic happened and everybody, kind of the whole world is brought to its knees with, diagnostics and vaccines are kind of, suddenly everybody knows what the difference is. Therapeutics, prophylactics, and, vaccines, right? So there are like a lot of hype. And as you know, finally, like a few kind of float up to the surface. And on each side, right now, I think it's very critical now to do the delivery of the vaccines. But part of that, delivery, of course, there's all this cold storage issues as well. But partly, you have to know if once somebody is vaccinated, they have to be able to show, right? In the sense, when you start the new screening process, maybe like before you get on a flight, you have to show either you're vaccinated or you have to show that, you have you're not infectious, right? So diagnostics and kind of the vaccine proof of vaccination are going to be kind of important for the next round of screening, at least until so-called herd immunity or whatever it has set in. So yeah. I think in the next 6 months, it's kind of very critical, both these areas, the vaccine delivery and then the diagnostics, and hopefully that will help us get back into kind of public events and things like that with the feeling of safety, right? So I think the vaccine area, most news has been made, but diagnostic things I don't see as much, because it's been going on for a while. And as you know, the initial tests were like 50% efficacious. What does that mean anyway? If you don't know whether you are positive or not, it's as good as useless. So
Absolutely.
so now what has happened is there are about 300 diagnostics tests that have been approved for the emergency use authorization by the FDA. But many of them take they're all different kinds of tests, right? The nasal swab, the saliva test. There is but the key thing has been to get it into like almost instant mode, rapid test, so that you can actually use it functionally. Otherwise, what happens is you test and you get the results after 2 days or even a day. It's kind of useless because in between the time you got tested and you get the results, you could have picked it up. So that's been the big challenge all this time. But now we've got real rapid tests, and one of the companies that I'm advising and invested in has just they have a rapid saliva test with 98+% accuracy, and and very, very affordable, kind of a visual marker, just kind of like a pregnancy test, and very easy to deploy, in parallel on large populations, right?
Right.
So I think those are very critical to get it out all over the world, right? And this we're looking for partnerships right now. Focus on the U.S. and Indian market, but we want to get it all over the world. So the company name is Kaya 17. So it's a private company out of California. So,
How do you pronounce that again? Sorry.
Kaya means body in Sanskrit. Kaya 17.
Wow. Kaya 17, Raghu is just invested and looking for partnerships in the US and India. So
All over the world.
startups, there you go. All of the world, actually. All of the world. Sorry. Thank you, Raghu, for those opening remarks. Really helpful and really good news coming out of the insights here. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back to you soon. Fabio, I hope you have a steady connection. And can we go next with you? You're going to choose a subtopic that you're interested to share your insights on.
It's what I think. First of all, is the connection okay? Can you hear me well now? Okay, great.
Yes.
So the areas that we look into are the new antibiotics for the new generation of antibiotics, which can treat the bacteria that have proven resistant to the traditional bacteria. There is a whole coordinated effort which involves also the WHO to find this new generation, bring it to the market, because the infections caused by drug-resistant bacteria are spreading, especially in hospitals. And so this probably could be the next emergency once the COVID-19 pandemic subsides. And now that there is an awareness by the policymakers, by the general public, that we are not, immune to infections, epidemics, etc., there can be a boost in this sector, which has, in the past, until January this year, hadn't given much priority. So people knew that there was a need to develop these new antibiotics, but it didn't look like a pressing need. While now the health authorities all around the world and the politicians and the governments all around the world have realized that this could be the next roof to fall on their head, and therefore could be willing to make an effort not on par with the effort to devise a vaccine for COVID, but definitely an effort to speed up the research and the results in this area. Also, in terms of diagnostics, we are looking into something that is quite unusual. We're looking into a device that would allow to measure objectively the pain level. As of now, when a patient goes to a doctor and the doctor asks, so how much pain do you feel? The answers are obviously qualitative, and the doctor has no chance, no possibility to verify the claim. While with this device, which essentially maps the brain areas linked to.
Okay. All right. I think Fabio has frozen.
Physician. Am I frozen again?
Oh, well, it's kind of intermittent. We are seeing freezing intermittently. Sorry about that.
Intermittently. Okay, let's see if.
Can we do one thing, Fabio? Is it okay for you to log out and log back in?
Yeah, I'll do so. Exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
Fantastic.
I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay.
Please. Anuj, hi. Anuj is back. Hi, Anuj. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm good, guys. Thank you so much for asking. So, good to see you guys all again. Pleasure being back. And my weekend was good. I hope you had a lovely weekend as well.
Yes.
Quickly introducing myself. I'm Anuj Chauhan. I'm a startup founder. I've founded 3 startups in the past. At present, I'm working as the founder for LATOKEN and Yellow Sapphire Technologies. Along with it, I'm an international partner at World Business Angel Forum, and I work with our angels in Israel and a family fund based out of Buffalo, New York.
Fantastic. So we started Raghu now, and we're just continuing with Fabio with the trends. I'm going to come back to you with trends after I get Gary. Thank you so much, Anuj, and welcome to VCTV. Gary, over to you. Welcome to VCTV.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the trends.
The situation is, so I just did recently, I had a very interesting, it's about the data. Sonny, it's incredibly about the data and the kind of impact the technologies like AI have. So recently, the top pharmaceuticals in Europe, I had been on one of the expert panels on AI. And look at where, the COVID, they talk about Pfizer and COVID, but not a lot of people know that IBM Watson was also involved in helping because, bench time is a big problem, right? It takes a whole lot of time. So imagine a world we're able to do these models to be able to figure out what interactions, how that particular therapy is going to work, but we're doing it based on artificial intelligence. And if you look at the top 3 COVID vaccines coming up, all 3 of them worked on artificial intelligence. So this is the trend going forward. It is about the data. We're inundated. So whether it's diagnostics, whether it's drug development, we need to be able to harness that to be able to run these models a lot faster. And Sonny, as you know, I love quantum computing. So when quantum computers come in, it's a whole different deal. So where are we today? This whole transition that we've had to go through since the beginning of this year in COVID has radically shifted the way we look at being able to develop drugs, being able to diagnose diseases. Think about at the beginning of this crisis, we weren't even sure how to be able to do the test. It was hard to get a test done. We understand now that some of the things that we thought about before, like just-in-time inventories, that's thrown out the door. And you and I laugh about the toilet paper thing, but it's crazy, right? I still can't even believe it. It's like, and people were really crazy about it. Did you get the toilet paper? Do you know who has the toilet paper? You know what I mean? It's like, it was like the big topic of conversation when I would talk to someone on the phone. Did you see any at Costco? I don't know. Did you go to Walmart? No, you have to go early in the morning to get your toilet paper. So we understand, as complicated as we are and complex, that sometimes the simple things are really important for us. So that's really been driven back to home. Where we are today in terms of, therapies, stem cell therapies. My friend just had played tennis a lot. He's probably 48 and had problems with his hip. Amazing shape. Had problems with his hip. He was told he's going to have needed a hip replacement. Well, he got stem cells. And I was like, okay, right, here we go. Before I started to do some research on it. And miraculously, within 3 months, he was playing tennis again, had none of the symptoms that he had before. And then I made some calls. I saw Mel Gibson on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about his father going down to Panama. So I called the clinic in Panama myself. I'm just curious, right? So I called him up, and it's incredible. And then, a few years ago, 6 years ago, I took a group of MBA students for the summer. I took a little bit of a sabbatical myself, and I took a group of MBA students out to Stanford University, and we did a project, Living to 120. And it was then I understood that there's a lot of advancements that are going to take place in a very short period of time, could dramatically impact how long we live, right? And it's all about that, right? Everything, diagnostics, drug therapies, et cetera, is how can we extend our life and the quality of live better. So I'm encouraged because I see the companies out there are really focused on how to use technologies, how to use machine learning to be able to get involved in each one of their processes, how to use computer vision to be able to diagnose a skin cancer, by the way, and do it at a higher rate. One of the studies at Stanford University said that using computer vision, they were able to identify melanoma. And if they took the combined opinion of 24 of the top melanoma dermatologists, cancer specialists, they were able to do it better. So it's incredible to have that. Imagine what kind of impact that has with telemedicine if we're able to do things remotely. So this world has dramatically shifted. COVID and the digital transformation have pushed us ahead probably 5 to 10 years further ahead than we were before, because now there's an impetus and the money behind to do it.
Absolutely, Gary. Love your insights. We started off with the pandemic, then we started talking about toilet paper issues. I mean, not issues, but yes, we're running out of toilet paper.
And you laugh about it every time, Sonny, because it is kind of funny, isn't it?
But now when you look back, yes, that was a very time where we're very distressed and we didn't know where we headed to. And then we spoke about, we don't have a vaccination for HIV yet. I mean, how can we expect a vaccination so fast for coronavirus? But, very interesting times we are living in. I mean, now in December 2020, we see so much things happening because of digital transformation, Gary, rightly as you said, and because of the technology advancements that we have in place. I mean, it amazes me the way I see it, when I go back in time and compare March 2020 to December now. It's exciting. It's really different.
I mean, Sonny, look at it though. The pandemic is much worse in the US than it was then, right, Raghu? It's unbelievable. There's a lot of people are dying. The cases are going up every day. But the thing is, I'm a psychologist too, and you get desensitized to it. Back in March, we didn't know what was going on, and it wasn't nearly as bad as it is today, but today we're desensitized. The situation is you got to still live your life, right? So it's a little bit different. People are willing to put up with it because they're tired of being in their houses, and they, as you did this weekend, ride their bikes, right? Have some fun.
Have some fun, absolutely. Thank you so much, Gary. Fabio, I'm going to come back to you after Anuj. Anuj, please share your insights, opening remarks. Are you going to touch upon personalized medicine and hardware advancement? I read that correctly. Over to you, Anuj. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunny. So, talking about medicine, it's a complicated sector, and I've always emphasized on it. take into account the advancement that's happening in the industry. Vaccines that would usually take a decade, we were able to make that in a matter of months. Likewise, it's about time that would lead to a what's next kind of a situation when you see that technology can actually make a lot of great things happen in medicine. It's human nature to ponder upon that. So that's when you come up with that first question. All right, where do we go from here? We now know that we can use technology, we can use AI, we can use all these metrics to make things better and make things more efficient. How do we do it? What's the next thing that we target? And it's it's an interesting proposition, because when you look at the things that we have today, uh, in epidemiology, there are three stages in any disease outbreak. There's an outbreak which is contained at a local level, which turns into an epidemic at nationwide level, which then turns into a pandemic. Historically, since humans were not traveling as much back in the 20th century, there have been far fewer pandemics. We can literally count them on our fingertips. And that's where you start to see in epidemiology, especially in cholera. When Dr. John Snow first discovered it, there was this myth going around it because no one knew how it's spreading. So everyone had this idea that there is a miasma in the air that's causing all of this. Going in from that to the modern era where every research, top level scientific work that was done by Dr. John Snow is now available to everyone at just a mobile phone. I can pull up maps in my areas. I can pull up the water pipeline issues. I can pull up electrical records. There's everything's there on your phone. Likewise, you can Google how many cases and how many outbreaks are happening in a particular region. You can understand what's the common denominator in all this. And you really don't need any scientific degree for this. So that's where that factor comes in. If we have all of this information, why are we not personalizing it for the user? Uh, Everyone is using a smartphone. We are personalizing their search. We are personalizing how they behave with their devices. Why not personalize their medicine as well? The Human Genome Project, the largest global biological collaboration, 13 years to map an entire human DNA. That's massive scale for a project. And well before we mapped the human DNA, we knew that the 21st century will need targeted medicine, because the first targeted medicine was not 1990 when we started the DNA project. It was actually in 1970, which is interesting. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand, that in 1970s, we were able to deliver targeted medicine to estrogen receptors to control cancer. As simple as that. And while, of course, we have made huge progress in the last 5 decades, there's still a long way to go. And that's where the new technology that's coming in, be it AI, be it big data, be it data analytics, all of these are going to create a new proposition. All of these are going to create a new value. Medicine is now at the stage where you don't only need doctors and nurses to work at a hospital. You also need engineers. And that's going to be the key. That's going to be the trend for the future for me.
Very good insights. And I agree. If somebody can give me some personalized medicines, that's nothing like it. Because when I go to a hospital as a patient, just sharing my experience, I get asked, do you have any allergies? This is a very general question asked by a doctor. And I would say no, because I don't know. The medicines they're prescribing is a different brand every time I go to a different clinic, right? So my very general response has been so far no, because I don't know. But you're right. If we can come up with something very personalized for just me, mapping my DNA and everything, I'd love to have that experience. Obviously, And really agree and really like that. I like that space as well. I like to know more about it, Anuj, as well. Let's take it offline. Thank you so much. So great. As you notice, Google is down. Okay, I just got a question from Anuj saying Google is down. I don't know. Maybe it is. Okay, Fabio, would you like to continue from where you were just about to? We just broke up. Thank you.
I was saying that we are interested in this technology that allows to measure objectively the pain level, which could be extremely useful to avoid abuses like painkiller overdoses or other problems that have been, especially in the US, linked to painkiller prescribed too liberally. But it can also be useful for the pain therapy and, for example, to detect frauds. A lot of employees claim to have back pains and they get all sorts of benefits or even pensions for disability. Another area which we are looking intensively is the clothes that have sensors which then monitor health, various elements from the heartbeat to the oxygenation, and for patients that have a specific, they suffer from specific conditions, one can devise customized sensors. So one day in the near future, we will dress up and we will be monitored constantly by this set of sensors, and they might be able to send the data either to a repository or to a cloud database, which then can be accessed by a physician, or in case something happens and one needs to be hospitalized, the doctors will have a track record of all the conditions for the past, say, 3, 6 months or a couple of years. So we think that this combination of sensors, cloud storing, and telemedicine will be the standard healthcare for the next, for this decade, actually. So in a few years, we might see in developed countries a shift towards these tools in order to maintain a check on the health of the general population.
All right. Thank you, Fabio, for sharing those insights. Fantastic. We're 30 minutes into the show. So next 30 minutes, 25 minutes to talk about investments. So Raghu, I would like you to share your insights about the recent investments that you've made in the space, because we have we have startups, we have entrepreneurs, we have founders who are looking to raise funds. They would like to know what's the best way, especially these times. We discuss that every day, but still, it's something new from you in the space. Over to you, Raghu. Thank you.
Yeah, as I had said, the diagnostic platform was one, and the other one that I'm working on right now is in the skin. It's a dermatology skin grafts for treatment of burns as well as in the cosmetic area. This is the startup team is from Celgene, and they're very seasoned. They've already done it, but the differentiator is these are like from. Some of them claim to be stem cell tissue, but this is really from placental tissue, which is not really stem cell, but it's bio-based material. And but it has all those qualities. They're freshly preserved. They can actually regenerate, the skin. And so they are kind of looking at dual market. One is the kind of the biotech, the burns market, where you can go for grafts which are pretty large burns, for large burns of the parts of the skin. And it will, the differentiator is there are some grafts now, but they come up with some kind of plastic backing so that you have to go in twice. You first go in to get it like implanted, and then when it heals, you have to go to get the plastic back off. So whereas this one, it just absorbs into the skin. And so they are just, in early stage setting up their lab, but the cosmetic part of it doesn't have as much regulatory issues. So that should move very quickly. Within 3 months, they can be manufacturing. And it is like a paste that can be kind of the core raw material that can go into all these different things. The rest of the manufacturing, like sheets, cream, whatever, So very excited about that, very seasoned team. And we're doing a seed round and in the middle of setting up, the manufacturing facilities. So I think that's what I'm excited about now. So.
Okay, great. And you're looking for are you also looking to invest into startups in the seed stage, or?
Yeah, I'm kind of the early stage guy in terms of investments, but I help companies on advisory role all through the entire cycle, starting from early to exit. But my investments are pretty much focused on the early stage.
Got it. So startups and entrepreneurs, please be aware of Raghu. Thank you so much, Raghu, for sharing those insights. I don't see Anuj. Gary, let's talk about investments. Because, so what happened in 2020 since the onset of the pandemic till now? So the investments, generally speaking, in the space must have gone up. That's what a layman's perspective is going to be. Can you share insights about investments in the space and how it's going to shape up in coming years?
Yeah, I mean, the situation, you're exactly right on target. I mean, we understood our vulnerabilities, and also think about the race for a cure. I mean, how much money is Pfizer going to make first in with their vaccine? So it's a money-driven opportunity, and so if we look at the future, and again, I talk about data. I just sent an article over to you, Sonny, that I wrote about gene editing, genomics, and artificial intelligence. I mean, we have an opportunity in our lifetime to be able to use artificial intelligence and data out there to be able to have, as I think Anuj said, very hyper-personalized therapies specifically for ourselves, to be able to address problems, as I've written in my article, that were uncurable before, things like Alzheimer's. And we're on the dawn of this era, and we're also on the dawn of a situation where you understand that it's about the data, right? We have massive amounts of data out there, and to be able to curate and farm and cultivate that data to be able to help us make wiser decisions. And that's really where we are today. And what I'm interested in, what we do at GSD Get Shit Done is we curate companies. My goal is to create billion-dollar companies. We've done 2 of them. So I was on the original team at Click Software, and also my company, Eva. And I have 16 companies in my portfolio today. So we're active. What we do is we use Silicon Valley support, because a lot of people have their office, a lot of companies, a lot of VC firms have offices. Even if they're not from the US, they have offices like Deutsche Telekom, like the Komo out of the largest telecommunication company in Japan. So it is a great opportunity. Think about drug discovery. Like I said, if you Google my name and drug discovery, you'll see that I was on an expert panel in Europe. I don't know why they picked me. I'm a country boy, but they called me up and they asked me to get on it. And I was, but this is pretty simple stuff. If you can develop a drug that would take years in a matter of weeks or months, this is like, this is a solution to many problems. So look at the top 3 COVID vaccines. They're based on models were based on using artificial intelligence. It's going to happen more and more and more. And now, when being able to, as I said, with genomics gene editing to be able to cure diseases that were deemed to be uncurable. So this is an incredible time. It's a matter of, now what I look at, it's a matter of taking all that data. I remember a few years ago, I was at Stanford University, and as I said, I brought my MBA students out from Russia, from Skolkovo, and we worked on this joint project. And a lot of this is be able to aggregate the data together. So there's so many separate pools of data everywhere. We need to be able to aggregate that together so we can make the decision. So here's stem cells here, here's genomics here, here's gene editing here, and here's a tie. In the middle, we've got artificial intelligence to help us make some of those decisions. It's a phenomenal time. So I'm really interested in companies that are using AI, machine learning, unsupervised AI, semi-supervised, to help be able to make decisions. I have a company called Zemply. Zemply is a company that came out of Stanford University. I'm the co-founder of it. It's to deal with the aging problem today. The challenge is we've got all these incredible solutions, but we don't take care of our elderly, right? You don't want your parents to be in a nursing home. You want them to be able to be cared for in their home. I went through it myself with my dad. And I said, I don't want my dad in this home. Plus it costs twice as much as what I could do at my house. So I put sensors and artificial intelligence in my dad's house. They said he'd never walk or talk again. My father walked and talked and complained. So I knew he was getting better.
Right. Complained.
But if the thing is, if you look at our lives, right, the will to live is critically important. And as a psychologist, the difference between people surviving in detrimental situations is your own will to live. Do you want to live or not? And so I said, based on that, what if we really create a nurturing situation for people to live? Now let's use artificial intelligence to help us make decisions. Somebody's at home, we can tell if they're getting up to the bathroom, we can tell what their vitals are. We can use that data to help them have a better life. And by the way, you get better. So it's really interesting situation. There's 70 million baby boomers coming on board now. We're going to have a critical situation in the US with an aging population. And at the same time, we're going to be living longer. So it's a great time to come up with therapies for diagnostics to be able to understand where we are and to be able to help us cure the ailments that we're going to have and to live a better quality life longer.
Thank you, Gary. And startups, Gary's looking for basically startups in the space of AI and machine learning. Thank you so much for sharing those insights, Gary. Very interesting insights, to be honest. Anuj, I hope you are back now.
Yes, I'm so sorry, guys. Half of our servers went out. Apparently, there's an outage with Google. So yeah, I guess Google's the new electricity. Can't live without it.
No, we can't.
I guess 2020 is probably the first year, or it's the 2020 effect. That's now you can't Google what's wrong with Google. That's the 2020 effect. Let's see what Monolith brings us.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
let's talk about investments.
Yes, talking about the investments. Yellow Sapphire Technologies have personally been working with a lot of medtech companies. We have actively worked and invested in a lot of teleradiology companies, developing multiple PACS system for them. So it's a sector which has been one of our core focus ever since the lockdown happened.
Right.
So yeah, any company that's coming in that's actually solving a genuine concern or a genuine problem, and not just focusing on the surface level issue, not just focusing on the epidural. When you're talking about a patient, the first question is always, what's the diagnosis? So there are a lot of teleradiology companies that are out there that's saying, oh, we will help the patients get the right diagnosis for them. What they don't focus upon is what's next. What do I do after I have a diagnosis? If a doctor recommends me a test, what do I do after getting those tests done? How do I interpret my own reports? As simple as that. I mean, anyone suffering from hypothyroidism, they have to get their T3, T4, TSH done every 3 months, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it to have a data model which is identifying the patterns, and then telling you if your condition is improving or if it's deteriorating, if there's any external factors that's affecting it, the same can be identified and then can be removed. So those are the features, those are the actual problems that anyone who's addressing is actually doing something in the market, that's actually working towards improving, making some change. The example that Gary shared about baby boomers coming in and entering into their 60s, that's actually one of the key areas where we are focusing on at Tutum as well. Developing my own startup, one of the key focus for us was to enter a space where there is proactive medical care, because moving away from the previous generation where you had multiple kids to look after your parents, the millennials are now in a very nuclear family. So for me, if I'm working, my parents are home alone, who's looking after them? And those are the kind of questions that needs to be addressed, and those are the questions where more and more millennials and Gen Z would be willing to spend money as well, because they actually see the problem in that.
Right.
A 70-year-old at home is all by himself. They need someone to care for them, and there may be an emergency. So while you are at office an hour away, who's going to look after them? Those are the key questions, and any company that's doing some work in that is probably working towards changing the industry for the better.
Yeah, I think very, very rightly put, Anuj and Gary. I mean, for the as much as we would like to have our parents with us, but as Anuj said, the baby boomers and the Gen Zs are obviously nuclear family, and if somebody is at work and there's an emergency, then obviously it's a challenge, and somebody's addressing that space, then yes, there's a big problem to solve. Thank you. I would like to now take closing remarks. Just conscious of the time. Fabio, I'd like to start with you. 2 questions. Closing remarks for the topic today, and because we are finishing the year 2020, and what has been your best VCTV moments so far? Thank you.
Closing remarks, in the areas which we have just examined, I think that we're on the cusp of a change, because the pandemics has raised the awareness on the health issues. As I said in a previous show, it has also shed light on the process to approve drugs, treatments, diagnostic tools, etc., etc. The fact that the vaccine has been deployed in less than 1 year will force a reconsideration on all the regulatory strictures that the FDA and other agencies have placed on the development of new drugs. So I hope and I do predict that in the future these regulatory standards will be relaxed. We should pave the wave of innovations. In terms of what's the best moment on VC TV, well, it's hard to point to one specific golden moment, but no, to me it's the moment that are more precious are those where I learned something, or I learned from someone. Gary has been a great mentor and a a great source of information for me, as I said in many occasions before. But hey, for example, to know that there is venture capital and innovation even in areas that you don't necessarily associate with those with that sector, such as Cambodia, and for me, it's really heartening. So it's an incredibly precious moment for me to know that innovation springs out from the most remote areas of this world.
Yes, absolutely. Cambodia. Thank you so much, Fabio, for that. Next, I'll have Raghu. Hi, Raghu. So, closing remarks, your best VCTV moments, considering you've been on US panel, now on my panel. So, over to you, Raghu. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think what this year has brought us is that there are opportunities to we've been pushed to the edge in many cases. So the ones that can quickly pivot into the areas of interest where money is flowing in, I think have done really well. On the other side, there are also opportunities from an investment perspective in distressed areas which are badly affected because of the same pandemic. So, but there's still opportunities, and there have been companies that have really taken off, and I see that this year digital transformation, as has been totally accelerated. Some of the areas like AR and VR, which were hot, kind of went a little bit on the back burner, but they're going to come back strong because now that the new reality has set in where people are working from home and everything is remote, the experiential aspect that the AR and VR will bring is going to now take off. So it's just a cycle, and so if you're in a space that kind of got pushed a little bit to the back burner, you should still see how it relates to the overall longer term and then continue on. So it's not, but you just have to, if you're a startup, you need to have enough, runway. So you get enough, fundraising done, and so that you can survive. So it's all ultimately survival, sustainability before you can grow. So I think it's all a cycle depending on which type of business you're in. And I agree that AI is going to be a driver because of the volumes of petabytes of data that are out there. Cybersecurity is very, very important because, again, this whole zero trust buzzword has now come in. And one of the things, one of my best moments was I talked about the data vaccine right here on VCTV. And now one of the influencers in cybersecurity has picked it up. And he's talking about, vaccine in this context, because, I mean, just to give you a little bit of example, see, in medicine, we all know about the Holy Grail vaccine, where healthy people, even if exposed, don't get infected. But most other things are like preventive and then reactive stuff, right? Preventive is to prevent the infection, and reactive is if you get infected, you treat it with a therapeutic. In cybersecurity, for whatever reason, everybody was only looking at either preventive or reactive. There's nothing like a data vaccine. And one of my investments, and in fact, I'm a co-founder, is SplitByte, which is focusing on that area. Mm-hmm. And after my event with Kyle, suddenly now everybody's talking about data vaccine. So that's, I think, my highlight. So.
Oh my God, Raghu, I'm really, really happy to hear that, to be honest. This is my best moment of VCTV as well, one of the best moments. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you. Fantastic. Anuj, over to you now, please.
Yeah, thanks. So, closing remarks. I mean, I've said this countless times. 2020 is a landmark year. This is the year when we move on to a new era. This is one of those pivotal moments in history that you can mark down. That's changing everything for humanity. We have to see how it goes, if it's for the better or for the worse. But yeah, one thing is for certain: things will not be the same when we enter in the post-pandemic world. People's habit will be different, their consumption will be different, and then their preference will be different in terms of every product that they use. So my closing thoughts is, if you are working on something, if you are building on something, uh, think not just a year ahead, but keep a 5-year, 10-year vision in front of you, all while making sure that you remember the year 2019, the way things were, so that you can relate, you can understand, and then you can connect the dots while you're moving ahead. So yeah, that'll be my closing thoughts. Uh, Sharing my favorite moments, like I said, I don't think I have a moment in particular that I would want to highlight, but I'm just grateful to meet some amazing people on this panel. It's been wonderful seeing some of the guys here, and I think they're all really smart. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Gary, my friend, I've seen you like hundreds of times this year, so yeah, it's wonderful being with you guys.
Thank you so much, Anuj. That was really amazing to hear as well. And I love to see you all every day as well. Maybe 100 times, 200, 1,000 times, but still. Thank you. Gary, over to you with your closing remarks. And I know I think Gary has been the one who's attended maybe, I don't know, over 1,000 episodes of VCTV. Gary, your best, it's hard to say, but still would like to ask your best.
The thing is, in the beginning when we got started, this was a beginning of the pandemic with Kyle. And, part of it was just nice to share information with people from around the world and to stay connected. And 5 years ago when I got on Zoom, people my friends didn't even want to get on it because they said, oh, I have Skype. Why would I want to do that? And here Eric's pushing, the founder of Zoom was pushing Zoom. His VC firm was pushing. I got on it. I was one of the first users. And here's, I just checked. I actually talked to him via LinkedIn, but he's worth almost $20 billion today. So that's how fast things can happen in your life. He's an immigrant from China, moved to the US, and the rest is history. So we all have that opportunity in terms of VCTV. I mean, so through VCTV, I was able to get to Richard Branson's partner to get him on my show. I'm going to do a space piece. So Branson and his partner. I've met some of the wealthiest people in the world, the wealthiest family offices on the planet Earth through here. Sometimes they come in stealth mode, having Raghu and Fabio and Nuj. I mean, I feel like we're part of the family. So it's been really good. This is a great time, though. The people that embrace the digital transformation, that can go out and still invest in companies, find incredible deals. That article I wrote, Nikola Tesla's dream comes true. The democratization opportunity is really where it is, because we all now have more, we've leveled the playing field a bit more. So it doesn't matter if you're from Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It matters that you get the word out and you connect the dots. So I'm really excited about it. It's helped my business a lot. This whole digital transformation, we've turned it into a negative into a very strong positive. I write a lot. I've written now 99 articles this year. I'm going to hit 100. So I made it my thing is I hit 100. I thought when I was at 70, I couldn't do it, but this week I got 3 more coming out. So, but that's the other thing. You got to get the word out. This is a great time to share information between us. I learned from Raghu. I learned from Anuj and Fabio. I learned the same way. This is like, my wife said, why do you want to do this like 4 times a day in different places? I said, because you learn. It's like going to graduate school. It's like going to Chicago for your PhD, Fabio, isn't it?
Yeah.
You learn a lot and you stay right on the leading edge. So you know what to invest in.
Yeah.
You know what company's hot. And Sonny, I get to see you a lot. And it's just, you're like a ray of sunshine every morning.
Oh, thank you
If
so
you
much.
all give her an applause, a round of applause.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I'm blushing. But anyways, thank you so much. I love to host and come on VCTV every day because of you all. Gary, Fabio, Anuj, and now Raghu. I mean, I get to learn so much just sitting and talking to you guys. I mean, you can't believe I probably write a paper on each and every topic that I listen from you. So, I mean, these are every day is the best moment for me on being on VCTV because of you. Thank you so much. And this has been a truly great start to the week. And I really wish you back on another panel of VCTV. I just obviously is conscious at the time we have to close the session. But again, I'm back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Singapore with new topics, new speakers, and some regular speakers from today's panel, I'm sure will be there for tomorrow as well. So entrepreneurs and startups, this is the effect. This is the effect that VCTV creates for you. If you're looking to connect with these investors, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to place you on VCTV. Again, investors, if you like to network, with like-minded investors, so many things, so many synergies happening there between the different speakers that we have on VCTV. If you like to also get advantaged, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to connect you with the team. I'll go from there. Having said that, right on time, 9 p.m. Singapore. Thank you so much. And I see you again on another panel. Till then, stay safe, stay connected, and take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.